Okay, guys, we'll do the check your understanding on page 376. Large auto dealership keeps track of sales and lease agreements made during each hour of the day. Let X be the number of cars sold and Y be the number of cars leased during the first hour of business on a randomly selected Friday. Based on previous records, the probability distribution of X and Y are as follows. Okay, we've been dealing with that a lot in the other check your understandings. And here's a leased vehicle information. So they typically lease 0, 1, or 2 cars within the first hour on a Friday, and these are the corresponding probabilities. They've already calculated the mean and the standard deviation. I suggest you put it in your calculator and double check it, okay? So we're going to define T as X plus Y. So we just want to combine the number of cars sold and leased, okay? X and Y are independent. A car being sold is completely independent than a car being leased, and that's very important in order to calculate the standard deviation of the combination, okay? Okay, so we're back to, now we're not only going to transform it, we're going to combine. The first part here, for the mean of T of X plus Y, this is just a combination, okay? So the mean of T, since T is X plus Y, is simply the mean of X plus Y. So it's the mean of X plus the mean of Y. Very straightforward. The mean of X was 1.1 car and the mean of Y was 0.7 cars. So 1.8 cars is my combination, okay? So this means, on many Fridays, the typical number of cars sold or leased is about 1.8 cars, okay? That's all we had to do for number one. Number two says to compute the standard deviation. Okay, now standard deviation, you would think, okay, you would just take the standard deviation of X plus Y, okay? And in a sense, we can do that, but we've got to work with the variance, okay? Because it doesn't work out right. So the variance, remember, is just the standard deviation squared. So if I start squaring everything, okay, once I take my standard deviation, square them, and then add them up, then I'll square root to get back to my standard deviation. So if I take 0.943 squared and 0.64 squared, and then I get and again, that's the variance. So to get the standard deviation, I have to square root, okay? So I throw that in the calculator and I square root, and that's 1.14 cars, okay? So again, this is still just a combination, but when you're dealing with standard deviation, you've got to combine the variances, okay? Whenever you're combining, you got to deal with variances. When you're transforming, the standard deviation was fine to work with in the previous check your understanding. Okay, for the third question, it says, again, the dealer's manager receives $500 bonus for each car and actually $300 for each lease, okay? So we want to find the mean and the standard deviation of their bonus, which is B, okay? So the mean of B would simply be, we're going to transform the means first, and then we're going to combine. So I'm going to transform, so it would just be 500 times the mean of the cars and 300 times, the mean of the cars of the lease. So I'm transforming first, and then combining, okay? And again, mean is always the easy one. So we throw that in the calculator. Oh shoot, I forgot to get the answer for that. Oops.
You punch it right now.
I will.
550 plus something.
I don't remember what the other one was. 300.
Would be 3 times 70, so 2.
So that's $760, okay? So that's the combined bonuses for leased and purchased vehicles. Okay, now standard deviation, again, you've got to transform first, okay? So again, if I'm going to transform, if I think about this like that, it's the standard deviations of both added up, but I need to work with the variances, okay? So I've got to, oh shoot, I don't want to do that first. Shoot, I don't want to do that first. Anyway, I've got to deal with the standard, I got to deal with the variances, okay? So what we should do is transform first, okay? So if I'm going to transform first, I've already done that, okay? Because I know my cars, standard deviation of my cars bonus is 500 times 0.943, right? And standard deviation of my leased vehicles would be 300 times 0.64, okay? So if I got those, I would have the standard deviation of each, okay? However, I need to combine them now. And in order to combine them, I have to do the variances. So if I square both my standard deviations, I essentially have to square these two calculations. So if I put it all together, it's really 500 times 0.943, everything squared, plus, 300 times 0.64, everything squared. Then I add them up, or then I multiply them out. So I get 259,176.25. And again, that's my variance. In order to get the standard deviation, I have to square root. Okay, so I throw that in the calculator, square root, and I do 509.09. So that's the standard deviation, the bonuses for cars sold and leased. Okay, so just remember, when you're transforming and combining, transform first, okay, and then turn your transformed standard deviations into variances and combine them. Okay, I think that's it for this one. See you next time.